What's going on, people? Welcome to United View and welcome to another update on Manchester United transfers and insight. But I'm joined today by a very special guest, Alvaro Montero, Spanish football expert. Thank you for joining the United View, man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. How are you doing?
Yes, very, very good. We are excited here at Manchester United as fans because there's loads happening. I can imagine, but at the same time, with that excitement, is a lot of caution, is a lot of worry, is a lot of apprehension to see what's kind
Yeah.
of going on. And I wanted to dive a little bit more into the Spanish side of things. We're hearing obviously about Barcelona's problems economically. We're hearing about Frankie De Jong. We're hearing about Pau Torres. We've all been linked with Manchester United. So I thought no better than bringing yourself on, a Spanish football expert, to give us that insight from what's going on, how you understand things in Spain. I mean, let's kick off with Barcelona, Alvaro.
Okay.
How do you understand their financial situation to be? What are we expecting them to confirm?
It's very difficult to talk about this. It can be even annoying. Their economical situation has not changed very much in the last months. As I said, it's quite tricky to speak about this, but okay. Barca right now has economical problems. If they want to sign players like Christensen, like Kessie, or even like Robert Lewandowski, which this afternoon was asked by a Spanish journalist from Mundo Deportivo, I believe, and Sport in Poland, and he said, "I want to leave Bayern Munich," and we all know that Football Club Barcelona can be his place to be in the future. But if Barca wants to sign and to register in La Liga all these players, they have to do a lot of things. First of all, as we've been saying in the last months, reduce the wages, their salaries, this famous mass bill and mass salary wages, and increase their incomes. If not, it's going to be impossible. Even if they do that, the first thing Barca has to do is update the salaries of those players like Araujo, the Uruguayan defender, and Sergi Roberto, that had an agreement with the club to update their salary and to renovate. So it's the very first thing they've got to do. As far as I know, tomorrow, 31st May, there's going to be a meeting in Girona, in the north of Catalonia, in Spain, between all the board members. There are many things to talk. We're going to talk about right now, if you want, about Frenkie de Jong, obviously, but in this economical and financial part, they have to do things like accept this CVC agreement, which is the agreement between La Liga and this CVC company. So many clubs in La Liga, Real Madrid, for instance, a few months ago refused to sign it. They can earn and receive a lot of money. And also, I believe Barca is going to sell a part of a company inside the club called Barca Store or something like that, which means they sell the 49% of this company. So they earn 320, I'm speaking by heart, but something like that. With all that amount of money, yes, they can sign Robert Lewandowski, Kessie, Christensen from Chelsea, pay their wages, their salary, and first of all, as I say, update the wages of those players that had an agreement with Barca right now, like Sergi Roberto and Araujo. So it seems quite tricky. It's financial engineering, and it's not sports, but Barca is in a difficult situation for sure.
So, I mean, and that is the kind of basic. We have a basic understanding of that here in England, and it's very interesting to hear you say that they are very still much in that situation. They are very still much trying to sort it out, and that is a real possibility that they need to sell players to raise more funds. Into Frankie De Jong, then where does he fit into this? Because we've heard reports here in England that initially he wasn't keen. We've heard quotes from Xavi, especially saying he likes the player, he wants to keep the player, he's a beast,
Exactly.
all of these complimentary things, but also still saying we will have to wait and see. I think it's Laporta saying the same thing. We will have to wait and see. Where does Frankie De Jong fit into this? Is he a real possibility for Manchester United? And how do you understand the situation to be?
Yeah, I think it's a huge possibility for Manchester United because sport, if in a sport kind of way, if we speak only about sport, Frankie de Jong is in the best place to be for him because our colleagues from Barcelona assure us that he loves the city, he loves the club, he loves playing in La Liga. His girlfriend or partner also is very happy in Barcelona. And Xavi, as you said, a few weeks ago, I believe it's 4 or 5 weeks ago, he said, I'm sure he's very important for the club. He's going to be very important for the future of our club. He's only 25 years old. And Xavi said something such as he's going to marcar una época, which in Spanish, in English, will be something such as mark an era or be very important in the next years. But we cannot speak only about sports in this Barca situation right now. As far as I know, tomorrow in this meeting of the board members in the north of Catalonia, they're going to decide what to do. Because as far as I know, the player wants to stay in La Liga, but he knows that Ten Hag wants him to go to Manchester United. If it's true that Manchester United wants to pay him those famous 20 million euros after taxes, it will be the double of what he earns here in Spain. I believe it's not an economical problem because, as I said, the player wants to stay. But it's very difficult for him to stay if Barca try to convince him to leave, because if Barca sells to Manchester United the player, Frenkie de Jong, we're talking about 75, 80 million euros, which is a lot of money. They will have that money, there will be a huge income, and also Barca will reduce in the same operation those famous 10 million euros after taxes that the player earns. So economically, it will be perfect for Barca if they want to update the wages and the salaries of these players that they had a contract, a new one, after renovating with Barca. It will be perfect for them to sign players such as Kessie and Christensen, as we said minutes ago. And the big dream of Barca for the striker, which will be Robert Lewandowski. So if you ask Xavi right now, I believe, and I'm afraid he will say, I want the player to stay. If you ask the player and even the sports director of the club and the fans of Football Club Barcelona, everybody wants him to stay. But my friend, is not everything about sport. In this world of football, sometimes and many times, money and economy is much more important. So I can say it's a huge possibility for Manchester United to sign the player because Barca needs the money and Manchester United had that money.
Absolutely. I mean, from a Manchester United fan's perspective, a lot of people here would probably want me to ask you, what sort of Frankie De Jong do you think we'll be getting if he didn't want to leave? He's very much being made to leave because of financial problems. Would that be something that Eric Ten Hag can come into his own and kind of settle the player down and convince him? Or would we be getting maybe not the best version of Frankie De Jong because of the circumstances of which he might leave?
Well, he is a grown-up man. I guess if he wants to leave and he goes to Manchester United, I guess he'll make his best football. Answering quickly your questions, I think Ten Hag is maybe the most important coach for him after the way he played in Ajax 3-4 years ago. But Frenkie de Jong is extremely happy in Barcelona, and he has the commitment of the club. He's a good guy inside the locker room. Xavi, as you said, loves him. He has played close to 50 games this year with 4 goals. Maybe he has not developed a performance as good as that famous last year in Ajax, but he's called to be the president for sure the future of Barca. But once he leaves, I guess he will have the commitment for sure with Manchester United, and then Ten Hag, which is almost a sport father for him, can help him to improve. But I guess he could be one of those players that will not need a lot of weeks or months to getting used to playing Premier League, because it's a very good player. I've seen myself many times with Barca, especially with the Netherlands in the UEFA Nations League. And I guess that it's the kind of player that can play perfectly in Premier League in Manchester United. And if in case he leaves, Ten Hag will have a very important piece. Right now, the question is, will he prefer to leave or to stay? I'm not sure, because I'm not in his mind. But I cannot say that his desire is to leave Football Club Barcelona to sign for Manchester United. Will that mean that he's not going to do it? No, maybe he can. And maybe he would, But I will say that his first option right now is to stay. Although he leaves, he's going to be in one of the best clubs in the world for sure.
Absolutely, and one that's in the Champions League. You know, Manchester United not in the Champions League and the Europa League, very much rebuilding. I wanted to ask you this though: what would happen? And this is a hypothetical situation. What would happen if Barcelona agree that okay, we need to try and sell Frankie De Jong because we need that money, but Frankie De Jong digs his heels in and says, "No, you know, you look at how the situation was with Dembele a little bit. I'm not going anywhere. I have my contract. You can't make me," sort of thing. What would, and I'm not suggesting that Frankie De Jong is that type of character, but just what would happen if he kind of tried to battle back and say, "No, I'm not going."
It's a good question, but if I'm truth, I'm not very sure how to answer it because I'm not in his mind. But I can tell that Frenkie de Jong, it's a very respectful player inside the club. Everybody respects him. If Frenkie de Jong received this message in the next days of Football Club Barcelona board members and the president Joan Laporta asking him to leave to Manchester United, I guess he could understand the situation. If not, Barca will be in a problem because we all will know that Barca wants to sell him and that the player wants to stay, which, for instance, is not a very good way to start the preseason or next season. But it's true that there are three important things to say. If Barca decides to leave him or to sell him in this case, I guess it's going to be for a huge amount of money, which will be good for the club, but also for the player. If it's true, as I said before, that Manchester United wants to pay him those famous 20 million euros, which will be more than De Gea and Cristiano Ronaldo, I believe so. Also, he will play for Ten Hag, as we said minutes ago. He's not playing for a coach that you don't know. You don't know if he's going to counter you, if you're going to be able to play or not. He's not going to be a man for the bench. He's going to be a man for every Manchester United lineup every single weekend. And the third thing is that it's Manchester United, the club who's calling to your door. I mean, the one who's knocking to your door. It is not any. I don't want to say any other club, so nobody gets angry. But it's not a regular club. It's one of the most important clubs in the last 20, 30 years for sure. So it's a tricky situation. But as I said before, if you ask me, I believe the player wants to stay. But if the club say, okay, we've got an agreement with Manchester United, if you want to sit with them, Ten Hag convince him not only with money, but with a sports strategy and a project for the next years. And if Ten Hag say, okay, you're 25 years old, you've played for Ajax, you've played for Football Club Barcelona, we want a project around you, you're going to be our captain or leader in the midfield, and you're going to be very important. It's difficult not to say yes, especially when you know that your club wants to
You
send
can't
you.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to sell you. With Dembele, it happened something quite similar. You will remember a few months ago, especially in December, they want him to sell to be sold in January,
He
and he
said,
was
"No, I'm
yeah,
not going anywhere."
and he was not playing, and he said, no, I'm going to stay. After that, out of the blue, he became a very important player. Xavi said that, Joan Laporta said that, everybody loved him, but we all know that it was not true. So I believe that if Frenkie de Jong realized that Barca wants to sell him, not because of his sports, I mean his development in the field, but because of this economical situation, I guess he will accept.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I can tell you definitely from our side of things, Man United fans are very very excited about Frankie De Jong.
Obviously.
Yes, of course. I mean, he would be a massive upgrade on us, and it's interesting that you say there that maybe he hasn't hit the heights in his Barcelona career so far, but definitely still no doubts about just how good he is. To finish off on Frankie De Jong, he's still very much a fantastic player. Is it fair to say?
Exactly. Yeah. He's an amazing player, and I'm not sure if Manchester United has right now this kind of box-to-box player,
We
but
don't. We don't.
with quality and with I mean, it's not Cesc Fabregas, but it can be sometimes in the last moment, in the very last pass to make goals. It's a player that also had goals. It's one of those players that is constantly moving to see and to find spaces. It's a box to box, but not like Makelele 20 years ago or Paul Pogba in the last years. I mean, he can move the ball perfectly, and he's very technical. So I guess it will be an amazing player for Manchester United, for the Red Devils, for sure.
Absolutely. I really hope this can get done. Hopefully we can capitalize on Barcelona's shortcomings. But then saying that, they will bring in somebody world-class like Lewandowski. They're only going to keep getting better. So I don't feel too sorry for Barcelona. Moving on to another Spanish player that we've been linked with, or a player in La Liga we've been linked with, a certain Pau Torres at Villarreal. How do you understand this situation? Because there are ongoing talks right now of Manchester United enduring Timber as a central defender, but Pau Torres has definitely been linked to Manchester United, and not just this transfer window, even last transfer window as well. I know there's a release clause there. How do you understand the situation from Villarreal and Pau Torres with a potential move to Man United?
Okay, let me try to explain you the Pau Torres situation, because maybe there in England, it's difficult for you to understand.
Yes.
Pau Torres, it's a 25 years old player, which is now, let's say, top 15, top 20 in the central defenders in the world, maybe. He's called to be the present for sure of the Spanish national team and the future. But as you said, he has refused many times good offers. Manchester United, not sure, but Tottenham last summer, it was more money. But he said, no, I want to stay in Villarreal. Okay. Villarreal, it's a little village in the east of Spain. It's between Valencia and Barcelona in the Mediterranean Sea. We are talking about a 50,000 inhabitants population. So 50,000. I mean,
less than the Manchester United Stadium.
Exactly. The whole Villarreal people will be inside Manchester United Stadium, Old Trafford, of course, Barca, Camp Nou, in Real Madrid, Santiago Bernabeu, in San Siro, and there will be spaces not fit. I mean, there will be people in tribunes left. Yeah, exactly. So he had said many times, I want to play with the team of my village, of my town. It's not a city, it's a town, it's a village. And he had become captain. He is not earning a lot of money, but he has won the Europa League last year. He had arrived to semifinals for the second time in Villarreal. So it seems that with Pau Torres, it's not an economical situation with the player or the club, because the club has earned a lot of money, in this UEFA Champions League season. It's a club from a very important family in the east of Spain called Roche, which is a family that has companies like Mercadona, which are supermarkets, Porcelanosa, which are in London, in Paris, in Rome, in every single city around the world, which are those things you to construct and to make bathrooms, kitchens. So in the floors, I mean the floor and the walls, okay? They don't need money. But as you said, there's a release clause, 65 million euros, I'm afraid. So, okay, let's play a game. In case Manchester United says, I want to pay those famous 65 million euros, automatically, I believe the player will be from Manchester United. If Manchester United decide to negotiate, let's say 55, 60 million euros plus bonus, okay, in that case, maybe Villarreal, which obviously is not a selling team, it's not a selling club, but it's a lot of money, especially nowadays. Maybe they will sit down with Manchester United. But I guess because of the way of working of Villarreal, of this amazing club, they will sit down with the player. And if the player says, no, I want to stay, I will say for sure that he's not going to sign for Manchester United. But in case there's a lot of money for the club, for the player, and the player says, okay, let's open a window, let's see around the door, what are they saying, what is this Manchester United message, maybe they will sell. But it's very difficult from the Frenkie de Jong situation. Barca needs money, Villarreal doesn't. Maybe Frenkie de Jong wants to leave, especially with Ten Hag, and it seems nowadays that Pau Torres wants to stay in Villarreal.
That's very, very interesting the way you break that down. Actually, an amazing insight, because we don't. Well, I can only speak on a personal, but I'll be pretty sure a lot of Manchester United fans didn't realize that his affiliation is, and his sentiment and his heart to Villarreal, what it means to him. The fact that he's not persuaded by money, he's not persuaded by the big move. He's happy being a main figure there. He's achieved European success, semi-finals of the Champions League this year as well against Liverpool. And then also, he's the main guy there. He's the main player. And then you're talking about the Spanish national team. He's fulfilling everything there. So, and the fact that you're saying that, I think there's this situation where Manchester United fans, we may think we're a big club, we got money, we can go and get a little player from little Villarreal. But no, Villarreal are not a selling club. They're very strong financially and don't actually need to sell the player. So my question would be to you then, Alvaro, when do you think that Pau Torres would be ready for the next step of his career? Or are you saying he's completely comfortable, he's fine?
I think it will be when the Villarreal project is not good enough for him. It seems nowadays that he's going to be that kind of one club man that maybe can stay forever. But if he improves as he's doing in the last 2-3 seasons, maybe he says, okay, I've done almost everything for this club. I've become captain. I've made my dream true to play in the club of my little town. When he was born in 1997, Villarreal was playing first year in La Liga. His stadium was even worse of a second or third division from England club. Wow. So if after all these years and after all his performance in Villarreal, if he decides, such as for instance happened 15 years ago with Fernando Torres in Atlético de Madrid, which obviously is a very different team. But in that moment, Fernando Torres decided to go for Liverpool, especially after Atlético de Madrid was happy after losing 0-6 against Football Club Barcelona. You will remember that game.
Yes,
but if becoming with Pau Torres again, if he decides that, okay, I love this club, but I want to win the UEFA Champions League, I want to win the Premier League, or I want to leave a World Cup club, maybe he has to sign with Manchester United, maybe he has to sign with Paris Saint-Germain, or maybe he has to sign to, let's say, Milan. Because maybe he realized, not now, in 2-3 years, when he becomes 27, 28 years old, if he keeps on doing so well, that Villarreal is good, but maybe a little and under profile for him. But now, in this very moment, May, June 2022, it seems difficult for me to believe he's going to leave. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for that insight on him. And actually, another player at Villarreal, Danjuma, obviously has spent some time here in England at Bournemouth. It didn't work out for him. He's done really, really well at Villarreal. I wouldn't say we were strongly linked with him, but I've seen him linked in some reports. If behind the likes of Nkunku, behind the likes of a Darwin Núñez at Manchester United, those names are a lot higher on the list. But since I've got you, how would you understand Danjuma's situation should a bid arrive for him?
Different. Yeah, exactly different from Pau Torres. He has not this not good relationship, but this skin with skin, as we say in Spanish, piel con piel, which means that he feels comfortable at home. It's not like Pau Torres, obviously. I mean, if Manchester United called Danjuma, I guess Danjuma will not say, okay, but I've been happy in Villarreal. No, Villarreal, it's a regular, normal club, a little bit humble in the last 20, 30 years. And Manchester United, one of the top 5, 6, for sure 10 clubs in Europe in the whole football history. So it's not the same. I guess that if Manchester United called, for instance, Danjuma and pays him much more money and makes him being an important striker and prove again and try again in Premier League, he will say yes. At least I believe he's not going to have so many doubts as Pau Torres, and trying to be obviously respectful with the player, with Danjuma. I think the money will be more important and can be an influence for him if you compare it to Pau Torres' situation, which has recognized publicly that money was not a problem. He wanted to play in his club.
And just quickly as well, I wanted to ask you something about this is actually about our keeper David De Gea, actually, and more about
Yeah.
the Spanish national team and where Enrique's mind's at with him. There's been a lot of criticism on David De Gea in terms of what a goalkeeper is now, being able to play with their feet, being progressive with the ball, commanding their area. And he hasn't been being, number one at Spain at the moment as well. And some Manchester United fans have decided, have the opinion that Eric Ten Hag should kind of phase him out after a little while and get a keeper better with his feet, etc., etc. Some Manchester United fans say he's still a top keeper. He's still a great shot stopper. From the Spanish side of things, how do you think David De Gea is viewed to Luis Enrique, and what do you think his future is at international level?
I believe when you ask to the Spanish fans that their impression about David De Gea it's even worse than the one you've got the one the Manchester United had, and even the people from England has about David De Gea. David De Gea is a huge goalkeeper. Obviously, under my point of view, he is amazing. He did it extremely well in Atletico de Madrid, and he has done. Maybe you have another view because you have seen much more players than me in Premier League and from Manchester United, but he has done pretty well.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he has not been extremely lucky with the Spanish national team. He was called to be the Spanish goalkeeper after Iker Casillas.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, if you will remember in Brazil 2014 that Vicente del Bosque, the Spanish national coach, says something like, we have to do with the goalkeeper a sweet transaction or a sweet transition. We said in Spanish, transición dulce, which means, okay, Iker Casillas progressively is going to play less and David De Gea is going to play more. Everybody believed in that moment that he was going to be the Spanish goalkeeper for the next 10 years. So even for the next 2-3 years until at least 2024 in the Euro. But he has not been lucky. And the Spanish journalists, we've been maybe sometimes unfair, all the fans, and which is true is that Luis Enrique is not counting on him as much as we expected 2, 3, or 4 years ago. Now Unai Simon is a player. It's been also Kepa Arrizabalaga, Chelsea goalkeeper in the last years. David Raya who's playing for
Brighton.
Brentford.
Brighton, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Brighton.
no, sorry, Brentford.
No, Brentford. Yeah, David
Brentford.
Raya playing for Brentford. Yeah, sure. He's been
and
called
Sanchez.
in the last. And Robert Sanchez. So it seems that he has not, of course, the Luis Enrique confidence. And under my point of view, what is worst for him is that some years ago there was this debate: should Luis Enrique or should Robert Moreno or before should Vicente del Bosque call David De Gea? We were asking that every single national market moment. I mean, not market, but international break. And in the press conference. But now there's no debate. Nobody. If David De Gea is not selected in the Spanish national squad in the 23 by Luis Enrique, nobody asks about him, and nobody asks why he is not coming. And I guess this is the word for the player, which, as I said, it's an amazing player, but he has not been lucky enough.
This is it's really eye-opening to hear that from there, because basically you're saying it's like you said right at the start of the answer to that question, it's a worse opinion of him even in Spain, and to the point where you said if he's not even on the plane to the World Cup in November with the Spanish national team, basically the Spanish national fans won't be too bothered, which I find amazing. And there may be some Manchester United fans watching this saying this is why we need to move on from him. Flex, his national team doesn't want him. There's many players ahead of him. He's had his best days, which is very, very interesting to hear.
Yeah, and there's also a huge problem that Spanish fans, the regular fans, and even some journalists are not used to watch the Premier League games. I mean, if you go in the city center of Valencia, Barcelona, Sevilla, Bilbao, or Madrid, and you ask to a football fan, not to any other people, but to a football fan, how many Manchester United, how many Premier League games have you seen this season? Maybe they said 2, 3, none, 1.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes here in our TV programs, we show the highlights and we say, oh, an amazing game by David De Gea. But we show it as if it's breaking news. I mean, as if it's not regular, it's not normal. And when you see some Manchester United games during the whole season, you see that David De Gea maybe has 6, 7, or 8 perfect games, such
Yes,
as
very much.
Thibaut Courtois did in the UEFA Champions League final 2 days ago in Paris. But for the Spanish regular fan in these streets, as I say, if you ask them, they will always remember these unlucky games of David De Gea in Euros, in World Cups, with strange goals that he received, and with these bizarre and weird moments that he had lived with the Spanish national team. So if you ask these Spanish fans, do you understand him not to come? I will say 80-90% will say yeah, because with the Spanish national team, he has not done as good as, or he has not did as good as we wanted, as good as we expected.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember the World Cup. Was it the Ronaldo free kick? Was it? I remember
Yeah,
his through his hands and some other big moments as well. Yeah, he
Russia
hasn't.
2018, isn't it?
Russia 2018. Yeah, I remember when
Yeah,
he just had an absolute terrible time, and he came out of that into Manchester United that season, and that was when the
yeah,
real question marks was over him. Here, he had a terrible season. He only redeemed himself last season. To be fair, where he's been really consistent. And in a poor Manchester United team, him and Ronaldo have been our best players. But very interesting insight there, Alvaro. Thank you so much for giving us your insight today and shedding some light on Frenkie De Jong, the Barcelona situation, Pau Torres, Danjuma, and obviously just then David De Gea. We really appreciate having you on.
thank you very much. Anytime. Let's talk whenever you want, and let's see what happened in the next weeks, especially with the Manchester United signs, which it seems that it's
De
going to
Jong,
be
please. De
an
Jong,
important
please.
summer.
We need De Jong. We need Frankie De Jong. Thank you so much. Guys, if you've enjoyed the chat with Alvaro and you've enjoyed his insights, smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys drop us a comment with some questions for next time we speak to Alvaro. I'm sure we'll have him on again. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Alvaro, I'll speak to you in 1 second. Take care, guys. Peace.